Hello! In today's video, I have 6 newer concealer releases to review and give you my thoughts on. I'm pretty picky about what I put on my under eye area. I've always had dark circles, but at 47, the fine lines, dryness, and texture are not getting any better, that's for sure. And it can be difficult to find concealers that cover well and hydrate and don't emphasize dryness or texture as they wear throughout the day. So I do a lot of concealer testing. So I thought I would put these in a roundup together since they've all been recently released. I'll be showing you how they apply, what they look like, and how they wear, and of course my thoughts on each of these so you can determine if any of them might work for you. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new, and let's get into these 6 newer concealer releases and see what I thought. I'll be swatching these concealers on the back of my hand as I go through the video so you can do some comparing. I just thought that might be helpful. If you think you're my concealer shade match twin, I keep a running list of my concealer shade matches over on my blog and have it linked down below in my description box, along with my foundation shade match list. And of course, I'll also have all the products I'm sharing in today's video and what I'm wearing linked down below for you too. I'm roughly sharing these from lightest coverage to fullest with some overlap you'll see as we go through. Starting with a drugstore concealer. This is CoverGirl Simply Ageless Triple Action Concealer. Because this is drugstore, prices can vary. I've seen this priced anywhere from around $12.30 up to roughly $17.50. There are 0.24 ounces in this tube, which breaks down to around $12.86 to $18.20, depending on how it's priced, per quarter ounce. There are 10 shades. I have Classic Ivory and Buff Beige. This is a cruelty-free concealer that has niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin C. And this has something a little bit different that I've never seen before. They're calling it their most advanced concealer wand ever. It's a ceramic wand that's supposed to immediately depuff as it conceals, and it's supposed to glide seamlessly along the skin without tugging or pulling the delicate under eye area. Now, I messed with this a lot and found it to be basically pointless. It just moves the product around the under eye area and it doesn't blend it in. I also don't find it cooling, so I end up just dotting the concealer under my eye and blending it out with my fingers as I normally would. It almost seems like it's a wand without the sponge tip on it. I found myself having to re-dip the wand back in because it doesn't quite pull out enough product. This is just very gimmicky in my opinion. So the shade I initially conceal my under eye area with is Buff Beige, and just for review purposes, this video is about concealing the under eye area, not really the face. I just wanted to make that note really quickly. I have under eye hollows, and I go in with the lighter shade Classic Ivory at the darkest point of my under eye hollow, just a couple of dots to brighten and to give a little bit more coverage. Now they say this has medium to full coverage and that it will cover dark circles and brighten to give you a well-rested, refreshed under eye area. I find this gives light to just under medium coverage at best, depending on whether or not I use a corrector with it. I usually use an under eye corrector. I will have my most used, which is this Bobbi Brown stick corrector in Bisque, linked for you down below. Love it. It's very creamy, looks natural, and wears well under any concealer. I do have others that I enjoy. I'll have those down below for you too if you're interested. That's just the one I've been reaching for most. When I don't use a corrector, I definitely think this gives light, maybe light medium coverage. It's definitely not enough for me. And with a corrector, I would say just under medium. I just find I look a little bit tired when I wear this. I can just still see the discoloration under my eyes. It does feel lightweight. It looks very natural and is smoothing. I would say it's moderately hydrating, but because as we get older, our under eye skin area gets thinner, making our dark circles a little bit more apparent, I kind of find that the benefits are not outweighing the fact that I just look tired when I wear this. So this was not a favorite concealer for me. This was a pretty big fail for me, actually. I feel like since they put this in the Simply Ageless line, I was expecting more, especially in terms of coverage. I mean, most people, as they get older, do need a little bit more coverage. Not everyone, but most. I am one of those people. I think they could have done better with the coverage and the applicator. This is Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Light Illuminating Smoothing Concealer. This is $26 for 0.16 ounce, which makes it $40.63 per quarter ounce. There are 18 shades, and the shade that you'll see me apply is Buttercup. This is cruelty-free and has coconut water to help replenish moisture levels, hyaluronic acid to help smooth and hydrate, and alpine rose to help with skin health and resilience. This has a thin consistency and blends out very easily, and I thought it would be more effective to show you the coverage level next to a fuller coverage concealer over on the left that I'll be reviewing here in a minute, the Milk Makeup, and applying this on the right, just so you can see the coverage compared to something that has a little bit more coverage. I feel the coverage is light to medium depending on whether or not I use a corrector. It does give me more coverage than the CoverGirl that I previously talked about. It feels hydrating and lightweight and gives this natural, radiant, smooth finish. And it wears nicely throughout the day. Now, this is not a concealer that I'm gonna reach for on a daily basis, even on no makeup days or minimal makeup days, because of my under eye hollows, tear troughs, combined with my dark circles. I need a little bit more coverage, but that does not mean that this is a bad concealer. I think if you have less dark circles than I do, or if you don't have under eye hollows, this is a beautiful concealer because of the hydration and because of the smooth, natural, radiant finish, especially if you're over 40, if you want a nice concealer for maturing under eyes, and maybe you want light to medium coverage from your concealer. I think this is a really beautiful option. There's been quite a lot of buzz about this Kulfi Main Match Concealer. It's $26 for 0.17 ounce, which breaks down to $38.24 per quarter ounce. There are 12 shades. I'm in shade Ice Ice Berry. It's vegan and cruelty-free, and there are several antioxidant-rich ingredients that are supposed to leave your under eye area feeling soothed and soft. This brand caters to South Asian skin tones, undertones, and skin concerns. This is a very creamy concealer that blends out very quickly and easily. Now, I'm showing you the application very quickly without a corrector underneath because I think that's important, but I didn't blend it out really well on this day. My lighting wasn't great. So I'm also showing you how it looks over my corrector and how it looks with makeup. It wears equally as well with and without corrector. I would say this gives light medium for me with my dark circles. It's going to vary depending on the severity of your dark circles. If I don't wear a corrector, if I wear a corrector, I would say it gives solid medium coverage, even just above medium. Now, it's supposed to be crease proof, and part of the reason why I don't even really mention crease proof is because if your anatomy, like mine, is prone to creasing under your lash line, there are very few, if any, concealers that are not going to crease there. However, I will say this is pretty self-setting. I do feel that if you're someone who can get away without setting your concealer, this will be crease proof for you. This is very lightweight and hydrating, and it gives a smoothing, naturally radiant finish, and it wears beautifully throughout the day. And all of that sounds very familiar, right? It sounds almost exactly like what I said about the concealer I just reviewed before this one. It's a little creamier in terms of texture, but takes it up a coverage notch while still looking like skin, whether I wear a corrector underneath or not. It's a beautiful medium coverage concealer that I would say is worth the hype. It's really great. Now, I've shared my thoughts on this concealer in another video. That's where the clip is coming from. But because I've been asked to compare this to the other two concealers that I'm going to talk about after it, I needed to put it in here. And plus, it's only been out about 4 months. This is the Huda Beauty FauxFilter Luminous Matte Buildable Coverage Crease Proof Concealer. That is a long name. It's $29 for 0.3 ounces, which breaks down to $24.17 per quarter ounce. There are 29 shades. The shade that I have is Cotton Candy, which is a bit too light, but gives a nice brightening effect. A lot of people like that look, so it works out fine. This is vegan, cruelty-free, and fragrance-free, and has vitamin E and sweet almond oil to condition, and it's supposed to stretch and move with your under eye area and brighten and conceal. All of those are really good things. This has a very thin consistency and blends out extremely easily. Now, if you are a subscriber, you know that I have been really into blending out my concealers with my fingers lately. The warmth of my fingers just makes them look more skin-like while giving me a little bit more coverage from those concealers. But in my initial review of this, when I first gave my thoughts about this, I said that I didn't like blending this out like that. I didn't like the way it looked. I prefer blending this out with a sponge. It looks more blended in for some reason when I do that. It can be dry if I want a little more coverage, or damp. It doesn't matter. I just need to use some kind of a sponge. Now, they say that this gives medium to full buildable coverage, but I say it gives medium to medium full at best, which is fine, especially since I use a corrector underneath to counterbalance the discoloration before I go in with a concealer for coverage more times than not. This feels very lightweight. Now, I don't really see a luminosity with this. I get a very flattering skin-like soft matte finish, and it wears really well throughout the day. This is a really beautiful concealer. It's not quite as hydrating as my beloved Dior Forever Skin Correct, which has been my holy grail staple skin-like concealer that I did just replenish, but it's still a really great concealer that offers nice coverage. It's flattering. I don't find it drying. It's just not quite as hydrating as my Dior. So if you're not quite as dry under your eyes, maybe you're moderately dry, or you have normal texture or even oily texture underneath your eyes, you might really like this for a skin-like concealer that also brightens and that gives a nice, flattering, smoothing, soft matte finish. This is another concealer that's been buzzed about a lot, the Milk Makeup Future Fluid. This is $29 for 0.28 ounces, which breaks down to $25.89 per quarter ounce. There are 30 shades. I'm in shade 8C, and this is cruelty-free, vegan, gluten-free, and free of silicones. It has caffeine, aloe vera, and arnica to brighten and smooth, as well as hyaluronic acid to also smooth but also hydrate. And it's also got two proprietary complexes that are supposed to support and protect the skin barrier. It's supposed to help your skin over time with continued use and provide medium to full coverage with a natural lightweight finish and be lightweight and crease proof. Now, I'm probably talking in the clips that you're seeing because I use this footage in short form content that I put on TikTok, Instagram, and I think in a YouTube short, which you may or may not have seen. This has a nice creamy texture. It blends out really easily, and I really like the coverage that this gives with or without a corrector. I feel like this gives, I would say, medium full to full coverage while looking natural. It's lightweight, comfortable, smoothing, and the finish it gives is one that allows me to wear full makeup or very natural makeup, and it wears well all day without emphasizing dryness and texture. I had someone leave a comment in my YouTube short saying that I was one of the only people that had said that this wasn't drying. I mean, I prep my under eye areas really well. I use good skincare every day, but for me, this feels really nice, lightweight, hydrating, no dryness whatsoever all day. I just find this to be very flattering. I reach for this a lot on a daily basis as a flattering, smoothing, naturally radiant concealer. And I think if you don't normally have to set your concealer, you wouldn't have to set this either. I'm not someone that can get away with that, but it doesn't look dry. I love the coverage level. This has been a good one for me. I've really been enjoying it. This is Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer, which is kind of a controversial one, and we'll talk about some of that. This is $33 for 0.25 ounces, so there's no breakdown for that quarter of an ounce. That's what it is. There are 30 shades, and I have 4 shades now and still don't feel like I have a great shade match. That's part of the controversy, I guess. I feel like while she has 30 shades, a lot of them are kind of close to one another, so you're not getting that much variation from one to another, and a lot of them are really warm toned, and if you're like me, you just don't look right with super warm tone concealers on under eye discoloration. So we have shade 3, 4.5, 5, and 6. And you can see all of those next to all of these other concealers. I think what I'm applying in the clip that you're about to see, which is a clip from another video where I shared this concealer, my initial thoughts, is shade 6. It's too dark and too yellow. Shade 3 is too light. The 2 shades I've been using the most are 5 and 4.5. I'm still kind of switching between those two. I feel like 5 is a little bit too yellow, 4.5 is kind of light. I don't know. I can't quite get the shade right. And the shade descriptions are just kind of weird. I go more into that in the other video. I will link that to the timestamp down below in the description box. This has hyaluronic acid to hydrate and smooth. I feel like we're hearing that in a lot of these concealers. It also has niacinamide and it has golden vitamin C to brighten. This is creamy. It blends out nicely and easily, as all these concealers have in this video except for one. And I would say this gives just above medium coverage up to full. And like the Milk Makeup, I enjoy the coverage of this even without a corrector underneath. It feels lightweight and hydrating, as pretty much all these concealers have. I feel like most of them are really nice for dry, mature under eyes. It's more about the coverage level and the finish. Let's talk about the finish of this. I've heard a bit of controversy about there being some glitter in this concealer. When I first heard that, I was really confused because I had already tried this and I do not see glitter. I have 4 shades here and there is no glitter. There is what I would call light reflecting properties, some luminescence, and depending on the anatomy of your under eye, that can reflect some good. It could reflect some not good. If you have under eye hollows like myself, it could reflect that if you don't set your under eye area. Because I do set my under eye area with powder, I find that it's not an issue. This doesn't emphasize my fine lines and texture. It just has a kind of a natural radiance to it, which again is similar to other concealers in this video, but it's smoothing and flattering. It adheres to my skin really nicely and looks natural while giving really excellent coverage. And I only need a light dusting of powder for this not to crease, which is something else that's really nice. And this does wear well all day. The one thing that really gets me about this concealer is the shade range. I just find sometimes by the end of the day, if I'm wearing a lighter coverage foundation, or I'm having a no makeup day, or if I'm testing a foundation and it happens to wear away, my under eye area can look yellow in comparison to the rest of my face because of how yellow most of these shades are. So that is the drawback of this concealer for me, is the color, really. In terms of coverage level, there's a lot of overlap with these last 3 concealers. There's some confusion. I would say in terms of creaminess, we can go in this order. Charlotte Tilbury is the creamiest. Milk Makeup is very creamy still, and Huda Beauty is the thinnest. And the radiance also, we can go in this order. We have most radiant, luminous, whereas this one is a little more naturally radiant and this one is more soft matte. Overall, for the most part, I think you have some great concealer options to choose from for mature under eyes, dry under eyes, if that's what you're looking for. I hope you enjoy this concealer roundup. If you want to check out my latest foundation reviews, I'll link that video here for you. I hope you enjoyed this and found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.